Hey guys, so right out of the gate, I just gotta say, this is one of those chapters where it is going to be painful in order to wait for pretty much 2 weeks for the next one because, goddamn. Um, so right out of the gate, in the same way the narrator says the next few minutes will set the course for the series from here, a lot of this chapter definitely feels like Oda was setting the stage for like the aftermath of Wano once the battle with Kaido ends, while also being a little cheeky about the idea that some of the things that were said will happen in the chapter may actually happen in reverse. Like, yeah, even if there, like, here's the thing, even if there isn't an inevitability that Onigashima will fall, this chapter felt like Oda kind of confirming that if it does fall, the Navy fleet waiting outside will be the ones that take the brunt of its collapse, because again, there's no other way that the Straw Hats will be able to escape from this once the battle is over. But on the other hand, the way the chapter talks about Big Mom and Kaido being the two monsters left that could still turn the tide is interesting, because when Oda writes foreboding lines like that, he always immediately makes me doubt whether Luffy's going to win or not. And while I'm for the most part at this point in the climax, like believing that Luffy will defeat Kaido, every time Oda has little bits of dialogue like that, there is that strong 5-10% of me that where I question if that actually will be the outcome. Now, on the flip side to that, I don't believe for a second Big Mom is going to win against Kid Law. At least not directly. Because the past couple chapters, but especially this one, has made me realize that Big Mom is definitely going to escape from here. Because on top of getting whole moments devoted to her own arc that were devoted in her own arc that were we've also as well as a lot of moments in Wano and generally just build up about her past. There's so much about Big Mom's Big Mom's ideals, her goals and whatnot in this series that kind of point to her making a return of some kind, like during an Elbaf arc or something. Like, honestly, it just feels like everything we've learned about Big Mom, it feels like everything Oda has set up with her. It would feel disappointing if she wasn't like a part of an arc that involved Elbaf or something like that. Like, it kind of feels like it kind of has to happen at this point. Again, even I'm sure there are a lot of people who are tired of getting her. Like, it should happen. I think like there is kind of a story thread that has remained left dangling between her and Elbaf that needs to be addressed, I think. With that being the case, let's circle back to CP0, because as they're discussing the current state of the battle, one of them says something rather interesting, which is that he believes the Straw Hats have reached the limit of what human beings are capable of achieving. And pretty much as we've seen throughout the Monster Trio's fights in the back half of this arc, that's kind of complete. What they've done is completely counter to that point. But I think but more importantly, what I think Oda has revealed to us through that statement alone is sort of, I guess, pseudo confirmation, or I guess just confirmation of a long-standing theory I've seen pop up every now and then in the community, which is the idea that the people that live in the One Piece world and whatnot are basically superhumans. And that in the case of the Straw Hats, more specifically the Monster Trio, they have sort of awakened their latent superhuman abilities, and which, granted, this sort of pseudo-reveal is something Oda has been building up for a while. Like, I'd say even all the way back in Punk Hazard, he definitely touched on the idea of humans in this world having, like, a superhuman trait. And, like just the idea he touched upon with the kids and the gigantification experiments, like those things already kind of pointed to a whole superhuman gene or whatnot. But 1.0 is like the first major, I think, like the first time we've gotten like an actual major reveal to this, that yeah, superhumans are a thing in this world. But if superhumans or a superhuman gene or superhuman trait is something that actually exists in this world, then that does kind of beg the question of how such a trait is unlocked. And I think we can kind of assume, again, just from the monster trio, that it's something that's unlocked through pushing past your limitations as a human. But as far as like what the actual details of the origins of such a trait and whatnot, I can only trace all this back to Vegapunk. Like he again is the one with all the answers we need, which it does feel a little convenient that one man could potentially have all the answers that we need, answers to the questions we need. But it does still work because of how valuable valuable of an individual he has been built up as. It's just a question of when are we going to get to the actual reveal is another thing entirely, because Oda is one who really loves to do things very meticulously, and I'll be honest that what recently came out about there being another 5 years before One Piece ends is kind of one of those things that has me a little concerned, frankly, honestly, but we'll see. Now, let's talk about possible deaths once this arc is over, because there's a couple possibilities Oda appears to be setting up here, which, first off, I am a little annoyed that Oda doesn't appear to be following through with Kiko or Kinemon's deaths, but on the flip side of that, it definitely gave what I think is probably one of Usopp's greatest moments one of the greatest moments for both Usopp and Izo in One Piece. Like, Usopp's moment is actually one of those that is so hilariously epic because he's telling them to keep living in the most Usopp way possible, but yet at the same time, it's something that just works so well because of who Usopp is as a character. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Izo, whose moment is just pure raw badass, with him like facing Kaido's forces in order to let the others escape. Because like when you really look at Izo's character now, he's really like he's like it when you see the moment with Izo and seeing the Kozuki symbol on his back, it really shows that Izo at this point, he's sort of a pirate without a captain, but at the same time, he's also a retainer who wants to save the country he loves for the sake of the man he deeply respected, Odin, and the fact that Izo just has nothing to lose at this point is what makes him so dangerous. Like I guess he could still potentially lose, he still has a fear of losing like the Momonosuke or something, but again, there's very little he has to lose now, and that is what makes him very dangerous, I think. Now, getting back to the possible deaths, though, there's one I think Oda will follow through on, and another I don't know about, but I'll be curious to see if he does. The first one, and the one I think he'll follow through on and hope he does, is Raizo. And yeah, pretty much the entire stage is set in order. Stage feels like perfectly set in order for Raizo to go out in a full Blazagorian and just take Odo Kujo with him, which, if I don't want to tell. I'm trying to get better at not telling my artists what to do, but I will say, I do think one of the Yakuza 9 does need to fucking die here in order for us to feel any true impact of the consequences of this. And honestly, looking at this arc objectively, I think Raizo is kind of the perfect candidate in order to die, because Raizo through this entire arc has basically kind of been the unsung hero of the arc. Like he's done a lot that's kind of fallen under the radar, in just moments where I think people just kind of say, okay, this kind of exists, but he has done a lot in this arc that does make me say, yeah, he has kind of earned his death, I think. And the other one who could potentially die, but I'm honestly not sure he will, frankly, is Drake. And honestly, like, I'm not sure how to feel about the whole possibility of Drake's death in this chapter, because it's kind of one of those things where Oda does seem to be implying he's going to die, but there's also so much about Drake's current status in this chapter that screams bait and switch, or just generally that Oda is pulling the wool over our eyes. Like, I just don't 100% buy into the fact that Drake is going to die here, honestly. Like, it just doesn't feel like it. But with that said, the chapter ends with Luffy and Kaido proclaiming they're having fun, which is definitely one way to put this fight. A little nerve-wracking for me given the circumstances, but I do like how Oda has been like steadily building up a lot of more contrast with this final battle, and in comparison to how Kaido and Luffy first met, like before, Kaido had little to no respect for Luffy. He thought he was a punk. He was just a rookie like everyone else, but progressively through seeing Luffy's tenacity, we have seen Kaido change more and more, and that he has, up to this point now, he has come to respect Luffy's strength and tenacity and whatnot. And now, at least in comparison to when they first met. Now, obviously, with the little minor flashback we get in the beginning with King, there is an allusion to the idea that Kaido might be one of the candidates to be the next Joy Boy or something. And of course, in the flashback, Kaido just laughs it off, and I did too. But I think this small flashback is sort of Oda's way of conveying that whoever wins this fight will become the new Joy Boy. Like, one way or another, it's either going to be Kaido or Luffy who will end up becoming Joy Boy, I think, ultimately. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and Crunchyroll. Share the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of N.A. signing off. Later, everyone.